Jia Kim stood at the back of the training hall, her small frame half hidden behind taller, stronger cadets. The year was 2187, and the Galactic Defense Academy was the most elite military school in human space. Simulation scores, Commander Tai announced, his voice cold and flat. A large screen lit up behind him. Kim Jia, perfect score on tactical theory. Again. The room filled with whispers. Jia looked down at her shoes, knowing what came next. Commander Tai's lips curled into a slight frown. Theory means nothing without application, Cadet Kim. Your physical combat scores remain disappointing. Jia bit her lip. At 19, she was the only unmodified human in her class. No genetic enhancements, no neural implants, just her natural body and mind, a rarity in modern times. You can't think your way out of a real fight, called Du Hyun from the front row. His muscles were visible even under his uniform, the result of expensive military-grade genetic modifications. Laughter rippled through the room. Commander Ta did nothing to stop it. Later, in the mess hall, Jia sat alone. Her food tray held the standard nutrition mix, bland but healthy. She poked at it with her spoon while studying battle tactics on her datapad. Is this seat taken? Jia looked up to see Sue, the medical specialist with gentle eyes. Unlike most cadets, Sue had only minimal enhancements. No, please sit, Jia said, quickly making room. Sue sat down and leaned forward. You know they're announcing Vanguard program selections tomorrow. Jia's heart beat faster. The Vanguard program, elite soldiers being trained to face the unknown alien threat at the edge of human space. Everyone wanted in. I don't have a chance, Jia said. They want super soldiers, not theory experts. Sue shrugged. Maybe, but I saw your simulation scores. You beat everyone, even the enhanced tactical specialists. Commander Tai says. Commander Tai is old military. He believes strength wins wars. Sue took a bite of her food. But history shows that's not always true. That night, unable to sleep, Jia slipped out of her quarters. The hallways were empty during night cycle. She made her way to the maintenance level, where she had discovered something 3 months ago. An abandoned simulation chamber. Jia pressed her hand against the door panel. It recognized her from her maintenance duty assignment, a punishment for underperforming in combat class. The door slid open. Inside, the chamber was cold and dark until Jia activated the systems. The room hummed to life, blue light washing over her. Begin combat simulation, she said. Level 8. The computer hesitated. Level 8 exceeds your registered combat rating, Cadet Kim. Override. Authorization Kim 72 Alpha. She had discovered the maintenance override code during her punishment duty. The room transformed into a battlefield. Holographic enemies appeared, faster and stronger than her. Jia took a deep breath and moved into the first position of Taekyon, an ancient Korean martial art her grandmother had taught her. As the first enemy attacked, Jia didn't try to match its strength. Instead, she redirected its momentum, using its force against it. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. The oak breaks in the storm, but the reed bends and survives. For 2 hours, Jia trained, combining ancient techniques with modern tactical theory. By the end, she was soaked in sweat, but her simulation score flashed green. Mission complete. She wiped her face with a towel as she shut down the system. Tomorrow, they would announce the Vanguard selections. She wouldn't be chosen. She knew that, but someday she would prove her worth. Unknown to Jia, a camera in the corner of the room had been active the entire time. In his private office, Major Park replayed the footage, watching the unmodified girl defeat combat drones programmed to challenge enhanced soldiers. He tapped his desk, making his decision. The selection list on his screen changed as he added one final name, Kim Jia. Sometimes, he said to himself, the old ways are still effective. Morning light filtered through the windows of the Academy's Grand Hall. Hundreds of cadets stood in perfect rows, back straight, eyes forward. Ja Kim stood in the last row, trying to ignore the whispers around her. Major Park walked onto the stage, his uniform crisp and spotless. He carried a small data tablet. The Vanguard program, he began, represents humanity's best defense against the unknown threat we face. Today, I will announce the 20 cadets selected for this honor. The room grew silent. Ja held her breath, not from hope, but from habit. She had long ago accepted that her name would not be called. Han Ji-woo. Major Park Reed, a tall cadet with neural enhancements, stepped forward. Lee Do-hyun, the muscular cadet who often mocked Jia, smiled confidently as he stepped forward. Park Soo, the medical specialist who had been kind to Ja, looked surprised but pleased. Major Park continued reading names. Each cadet selected had top-level enhancements or special abilities. The final name on the list would surely be another super soldier. Kim Ja. The room fell completely silent. Ja stood frozen, certain she had misheard. Kim Ja, Major Park repeated, louder this time. Step forward. Ja's legs moved on their own. She could feel every eye in the room on her back. Commander Tae's face had turned an angry red. There must be some mistake, Commander Ta said, stepping toward Major Park. Cadet Kim is unmodified. She has no enhancements. Major Park looked directly at Commander Ta. There is no mistake. I personally reviewed all candidates. He turned to address the selected cadets. Report to Training Bay 7 at 600 tomorrow. Dismissed. As the cadets filed out, Do-hyun bumped Ja's shoulder hard. You won't last a week, he whispered. Whatever trick got you in won't help you survive. Later, Jia sat on her bed, staring at the official notice on her datapad. She still couldn't believe it. The Vanguard program. Her. A soft knock came at her door. It was Sue. Congratulations, Sue said with a genuine smile. I'm glad we'll be working together. Thank you, Jia replied. But I don't understand why I was selected. Sue sat down beside her. Maybe someone saw something in you that others missed. That night, Jia couldn't sleep. She returned to her secret training room, needing to prepare for tomorrow. She activated the simulation at level 9, harder than she had ever attempted. Begin, she said. The simulation started normally, but suddenly the lights flickered. The room's computer voice announced, System malfunction. Safety protocols disengage. The holographic enemies became solid, real. Their training weapons could now cause actual harm. Jia's heart raced. She should stop the simulation, but this was exactly what she needed. Real danger, real consequences. The first drone attacked with brutal speed. Jia dodged, using the movement techniques her grandmother had taught her. The bird does not defeat the wind by fighting it, her grandmother would say, but by finding paths through it. As more drones attacked, Jia moved like water. She used the room itself, walls, floors, even the ceiling, as weapons and shields. When a drone cornered her, she didn't try to overpower it. Instead, she redirected its energy, causing it to crash into another drone. For 20 minutes, Jia fought with everything she had. When the last drone fell, she stood in the center of the room, breathing hard, sweat soaking her training clothes. Simulation complete, the computer announced. New record established. Jia sank to her knees, exhausted but smiling. Tomorrow would be difficult. The other Vanguard cadets would challenge her, doubt her, try to prove she didn't belong. But tonight, she had proven something to herself. In the shadows of the control room, Major Park turned off his monitor. He had seen enough. The unmodified girl had just defeated combat drones that would have challenged his best enhanced soldiers. Sometimes the strongest weapons, he murmured, are the ones the enemy never sees coming. Training Bay 7 was a massive room with high ceilings and metal walls. When Jia arrived at exactly 600, the other 19 Vanguard cadets were already there. They stood in small groups, talking quietly. Many wore their enhancements openly. Silver neural connectors on temples, glowing blue lines under skin, eyes that shifted colors as they processed data. As Jia entered, the talking stopped. All eyes turned to her. "Look what walked in," Du Hyun said loudly. "Our token natural." A few cadets laughed. Others just stared, curious about the unmodified girl who had somehow gained entry to their elite program. Sue nodded at Jia from across the room but didn't approach her. Jia understood. Nobody wanted to be associated with the outsider. Major Park entered the room exactly 1 minute later. All cadets immediately formed a line. "Vanguard candidates," he said, walking slowly in front of them. "You have been selected because each of you brings something unique to our mission. The alien threat we face, the Nexus, has technology we don't understand and capabilities we can't match. To defeat them, we need more than just strength or speed. We need adaptability." He stopped in front of Du Hyun. "Cadet Lee, enhanced strength, speed, and durability. Top scores in direct combat." Next, he stopped before Han Jiwoo. "Cadet Han, neural processors that can calculate battle outcomes in microseconds. The finest tactical mind in your class." He continued down the line, noting each cadet's special abilities or enhancements. Finally, he reached Jia. "Cadet Kim." He paused. The room grew very quiet. Unmodified human physiology. Perfect scores in theoretical tactics and adaptation scenarios. Do Hyun snorted. Major Park's eyes snapped to him. "Something to add, Cadet Lee?" "No, sir," Do Hyun replied, but his face showed what he thought. "Theory meant nothing in real combat. Today you begin real training," Major Park continued. "You will form 4-person teams. These will be your combat units." He read out the team assignments. Jia found herself placed with Do Hyun, Han, and Sue. The worst possible team for her. Do Hyun hated her. Han was coldly logical and would see her as a weakness. Only Sue might be friendly. "First exercise," Major Park announced. "Survival scenario. Teams will compete to reach the extraction point. All combat simulators are set to pain level 3. Pain level 3 meant hits would really hurt, though they wouldn't cause permanent damage. The teams moved to their starting positions. Training Bay 7 transformed around them, holographic technology creating a dense jungle environment. "We need a plan," Jia said to her team. Do Hyun laughed. "I have a plan. Follow me and try not to die." He moved ahead without waiting for a response. Han followed him immediately, calculating that alignment with the stronger cadet was logical. Sue gave Jia an apologetic look before following them. Jia had no choice but to go along. The jungle was hot and wet. Sounds of combat came from other parts of the training area as teams encountered each other. As they walked, Jia noticed something strange. Subtle patterns in the leaf movements, slight color variations in the path ahead. "Wait," she said. "This area is..." Do Hyun turned, annoyed. "Quiet. You'll give away our position." "But there's a..." "I said quiet." Do Hyun snapped. He took another step forward, and the ground beneath him exploded with light. A trap. Holographic enemies appeared from all sides, firing training weapons. Do Hyun was hit first, crying out as the pain sensors in his uniform activated. Han was hit next. Then Sue. Jeb dropped to the ground, rolling beneath the enemy fire. She had seen the signs, had tried to warn them. Now they were surrounded. From her position, Jia could see a pattern to the enemy movements, if she could just get her team to listen. "Do what I say if you want to live," she called out. The question was, would they finally listen? "Everyone down," Jia shouted as more enemy fire lit up the jungle simulation. Do Hyun, already hit twice, glared at her, but finally dropped to the ground. Han and Sue followed. "The enemy units are moving in a pattern," Jia explained quickly. 3 seconds of fire, 2 seconds to reload. "We move during the reload." "How could you possibly know?" Do Hyun began. "Now." Jia cut him off as the enemy fire paused. She rolled right toward a fallen log. The others followed, barely making it to cover before the firing resumed. Their left flank is weaker, Jia continued. Han, calculate firing trajectories to provide cover. Su, stay in the middle. Du-hyun, you and I will circle around during the next pause. Han looked surprised but nodded. His eyes glowed blue as his neural implants calculated the perfect angles. When the next pause came, they executed Jia's plan perfectly. Han provided covering fire, while Jia and Du-hyun flanked the enemy. Within minutes, they had eliminated all holographic opponents. Extraction point is 2 kilometers north, Han announced. Du-hyun wiped sweat from his face. That was acceptable, he admitted reluctantly to Jia. They reached the extraction point first, winning the exercise. As the simulation ended and Training Bay 7 returned to normal, Major Park nodded approvingly at Jia's team. The next 3 weeks followed the same pattern. Jia's team initially doubted her, then grudgingly followed her strategies, and finally began winning most exercises. Du-hyun still treated her coldly, but he no longer openly mocked her. Then everything changed. Alarms blared through the academy at midnight. Red emergency lights pulsed in every corridor. All Vanguard cadets report to Launch Bay 2 immediately, the announcement system ordered. This is not a drill. Jia ran to the launch bay in her sleek clothes, arriving at the same time as the others. Major Park stood next to a holographic display of Saturn and its moons. The Nexus have attacked Research Station Titan, he announced grimly. All communications were lost 1 hour ago. Due to your proximity during training exercises, you're being deployed as first responders. But we haven't completed training, Su protested. There's no time, Major Park replied. Our nearest battle group is 3 days out. You launch in 15 minutes. They rushed to gear up. Jia's hand shook as she put on her combat suit, standard issue, unlike the enhanced suits her teammates wore. The transport ship launched with all 20 Vanguard cadets aboard. Major Park's voice came through their comms during the journey. Preliminary data suggests this is a small Nexus scouting force. Your mission is to secure the research station and rescue any survivors. This is humanity's first direct contact with the Nexus. We need intelligence on their capabilities. 6 hours later, they entered Titan's orbit. The research station was a dark shape against the orange moon. No lights, no signs of life. Preparing for landing, the pilot announced. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Warning lights flashed. We're hit, the pilot shouted. Unknown weapon type. The ship spun out of control, heading toward Titan's surface. Brace for impact, Han yelled. The crash was deafening. Jia felt herself thrown from her seat despite the safety harness. Her head hit something hard, and darkness swallowed her. When she awoke, smoke filled the cabin. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow. Jia unbuckled herself and looked around. Half the ship was gone, torn away during the crash. Several cadets lay motionless. Others were trying to help the injured. Su, Jia called, coughing through the smoke. Here, Su answered, treating the cadet with a bad leg injury. Du-hyun and Han went to secure the perimeter. We lost 5 in the crash. Jia moved to help when a strange sound came from outside, a high-pitched hum that made her teeth ache. She went to a broken window and looked out. What she saw made her blood freeze. Tall, shadowy figures moved through Titan's mist. They weren't human. Each had 4 arms and moved with frightening speed. The Nexus had found them. As Jia watched, the aliens surrounded Du-hyun, Han, and 3 other cadets who had moved outside. Despite their enhancements, the cadets were quickly overwhelmed and dragged away. The aliens never looked toward the crashed ship where Jia stood watching. They seemed to be focusing only on the enhanced humans, their sensors ignoring her unmodified presence. For once, being ordinary had made her invisible to the enemy. Jia ducked back inside the crashed ship. Her mind raced with what she had just seen. The Nexus aliens had taken Du-hyun, Han, and the others, but had completely ignored her. "What did you see?" Sue asked, finishing bandaging the cadet's arm. "They took the others," Ja whispered. "But they didn't see me." Sue looked confused. "That's not possible. Their technology is supposed to be far beyond ours." "I think," Gia paused, putting the pieces together. "I think they're tracking enhancements. They ignored me completely." The wounded cadets looked at each other nervously. All of them had enhancements, neural implants, genetic modifications, or both. "We need to send a distress signal," a cadet named Min said. "No," Gia replied. "Any transmission might bring them back. Our ship was shot down before we could even land. They're watching for technology." "So what do we do?" Sue asked. "Wait to be rescued." Gia took a deep breath. "No, I'm going after them." Everyone stared at her. "That's suicide," Min argued. "You saw what they did to our best fighters." "Yes," Gia said, "but they didn't see me. If the Nexus are only tracking enhanced humans, I might be able to move freely." No one argued further. They had no better options. Gia gathered basic supplies, a medical kit, water, and a simple knife. Anything more advanced might alert the aliens. "I'll try to find out where they're keeping the others," she told Sue. "Stay here and keep everyone alive." Sue nodded and handed Gia a small cloth bag. "Medicines," she explained, "just in case." Outside, Titan's orange sky cast an eerie light. The air was breathable thanks to the terraforming done decades ago, but it was thin and cold. Gia followed the tracks left by the Nexus and their captives. The alien base wasn't hard to find. It rose like a dark tower from Titan's flat landscape, about 3 kilometers from the crash site. Gia approached cautiously, staying low and using natural formations for cover. 2 Nexus guards stood at the entrance, tall, 4-armed figures with skin that seemed to shift colors. They carried weapons unlike anything Gia had seen before. She waited, watching their movements. Every 12 minutes, they changed positions. During the change, there was a 5-second gap when both looked away from the entrance. Gia counted down, then moved. She sprinted silently across the open ground and slipped inside the base during the guard change. Once inside, she pressed herself against a wall, heart pounding. An alien walked right past her. It didn't even turn its head. Gia held her breath, but the alien continued down the corridor, completely unaware of her presence. "They really can't detect me," she whispered to herself. Moving deeper into the base, Gia discovered it was actually the research station, now taken over by the Nexus. She passed laboratories where aliens examined human technology. In one room, they studied what looked like neural implants. In another larger room, Gia found what she was looking for. Her captured teammates and other cadets were held in clear cells. They looked weak but alive. Du Hyun paced his cell like a caged animal. Han sat perfectly still, eyes closed, likely running scenarios through his enhanced mind. Gia stayed hidden, studying the room's layout. Guards changed every 15 minutes. The cell controls were on a panel near the door. As she watched, a group of aliens entered. They removed a cadet from his cell and placed him on a table. One alien held up a device that scanned the cadet's head, focusing on his neural implants. Gia realized with horror what they were doing. Studying human enhancements, learning how they worked. This wasn't just an attack. It was research. She needed to free her teammates, but she couldn't do it alone. She would need help and a plan. Moving back toward the exit, Gia memorized every detail of the base. Guard rotations, room layouts, alien movements. Knowledge was her weapon now. And the fact that the Nexus couldn't see her, the unmodified, weak human, would be her greatest advantage. Gia returned to the crashed ship just before dawn. She found Sue and the other wounded cadets waiting anxiously. "You're alive," Sue exclaimed. "We were getting worried." "I found them," Gia said. "Du Hyun, Han, and the others are being held in the research station." The Nexus have taken it over. She quickly explained what she had seen. The aliens studying human enhancements, the guard rotations, the layout of the station. The surviving cadets listened carefully. "So what's the plan?" Min asked. "I go back in and free them," Jia replied. "I can move around without being detected." "You can't do it alone," Sue argued. "The control panel will need at least 2 people to operate." Jia nodded. "That's why you're coming with me, Sue." "Me?" Sue looked surprised. "But I have enhancements. They'll detect me." "You have the fewest modifications of anyone here," Jia explained. "Just medical implants. If we remove them, you might be invisible to them too." Sue touched the small implants at her wrists that helped her deliver precise medical treatments. "Remove them. But without them, I won't be able to." "We don't have a choice," Jia interrupted gently. "Do you know how to take them out?" Sue nodded slowly. "Yes. It will hurt, but I can do it." An hour later, they were ready. Sue had removed her medical implants, her hands shaking slightly without the stabilizing technology she was used to. Together, they moved toward the alien base. As they approached, Jia whispered final instructions. "Stay close. Move only when I do. If they spot you, run back to the ship." They slipped inside during a guard change, just as Jia had done before. Sue gasped as an alien walked past them without noticing. "It worked," she whispered. "They can't see me either." They made their way to the detention area. Through a small window in the door, they could see their teammates still in cells. Do-hyun looked angry. Han appeared weaker than before. "Ready?" Jia asked. Sue nodded. They entered the room during a guard change. Jia went to the control panel while Sue stood watch. "Hurry," Sue whispered. "Guards will be back in 2 minutes." Jia studied the alien controls. They were strange, but she recognized patterns similar to human technology. She pressed what she hoped was the release button. The cell doors slid open. The captured cadets looked around in confusion. "Here," Jia called out. Quickly. Do-hyun was the first to spot her. "Kim, how did you?" "No time," Jia cut him off. "We need to move before the guards return." The freed cadets rushed toward her. Do-hyun, despite his weakened state, still moved with enhanced speed. Han stumbled, his neural processors clearly malfunctioning. They had almost reached the door when a high-pitched alarm sounded. 3 Nexus guards appeared, weapons raised. "Take this," Do-hyun shouted, grabbing a weapon from a nearby table. He fired at the aliens, but nothing happened. One alien raised its hand. A pulse of energy shot out, hitting Do-hyun squarely in the chest. He fell to the ground, his enhanced body suddenly rigid. "My implants," he gasped. "They're not working." The same happened to Han and the others. One by one, their enhancements failed, leaving them helpless. Electromagnetic pulse, Sue realized. It's disabling all electronic enhancements. Jia, without any enhancements to disable, was the only one unaffected. She grabbed Do-hyun's arm and pulled him up. "We need to go," she urged. "Can you walk?" "My body feels wrong," he groaned. "The genetic enhancements are offline. I'm normal." "Normal is all we need right now," Jia said firmly. "Follow me." She helped the struggling enhanced cadets through a side door as more aliens entered the main room. They stumbled down a corridor and into what looked like a storage area. "We can't fight like this," Do-hyun said, his voice heavy with defeat. "Without our enhancements, we're useless." Jia looked at her teammates, the super soldiers now reduced to ordinary humans. "Not useless," she said, "just different. And I can teach you how to fight without enhancements." For the first time, Do-hyun looked at her not with contempt, but with hope. For 3 days, they hid in the lower levels of the research station. The storage area became their base, filled with supplies that kept them alive. The Nexus searched for them, but never looked in the empty corners where Jia had hidden her team. Again, Jia instructed, watching Do-hyun struggle with a simple fighting stance. "This is pointless," he growled. Without his enhancements, his muscles felt weak and slow. "We should wait for rescue." "No rescue is coming yet," Jia replied calmly. "Now try again. Feel your center of gravity." Do-hyun sighed but obeyed. He moved through the basic forms Jia had taught him, ancient fighting techniques her grandmother had passed down. Across the room, Han worked with Su on similar movements. The other rescued cadets practiced in pairs. None of them moved with their former grace or power, but they were improving. "I still don't understand why these old fighting styles matter," Do-hyun said during a rest break. "Even if we master them, we can't match the Nexus in strength." Jia sat beside him. "You're thinking like an enhanced soldier. More strength, more speed, more power. But my grandmother taught me that true combat isn't about being stronger. It's about using your opponent's strength against them." Han joined them, his normally perfect hair now messy. "Tactically speaking, she's right. We were trained to overwhelm enemies with superior abilities. Without those abilities, we need a new approach." Jia nodded. "I've been watching the Nexus. They expect direct attacks. Their sensors are designed to detect advanced technology and enhanced biology. But simple things confuse them." "What's your plan?" Su asked, wiping sweat from her face. Jia pulled out a rough map she had drawn of the station. "Here," she pointed to a central area. "This is their communication array. It's how they coordinate. If we can disable it, we might create enough confusion to escape and warn Earth about their anti-enhancement weapons." "How do we get there?" Han asked. "It's in the most heavily guarded section." "Not through the main corridors," Jia explained. "Through here." She pointed to what looked like ventilation shafts. "They're too small for the Nexus, and they don't monitor them, because they don't expect anyone to use such primitive paths." They spent another day preparing. Jia taught them how to move silently, how to use simple tools as weapons, and how to think differently about combat. "Remember," she told them on the morning of their mission, "don't try to overpower them. Redirect their energy. Use their size against them. Work together." They moved through the ventilation system in single file. Jia led, followed by Su, Han, Do-hyun, and the others. The metal shafts were tight and dusty. Without enhanced strength, the journey was exhausting. Finally, they'd reached the grate above the communication center. 6 Nexus operated the strange equipment below. "Ready?" Jia whispered. Everyone nodded. She gave the signal, and they dropped into the room from different points. The Nexus were caught completely by surprise. Do-hyun moved first, throwing a metal container that crashed into the main console. Sparks flew. 2 Nexus rushed toward him, but Han and another cadet appeared from behind, tangling the alien's 4 arms with cords they had found. Jia faced the largest Nexus. It towered over her, its 4 arms reaching to grab her, but she didn't retreat or attack directly. Instead, she moved in close, stepped past its grasp, and used its own momentum to send it crashing into sensitive equipment. Su and the remaining cadets disabled the backup systems using the techniques Jia had taught them. Alarms blared throughout the station. The communication array sparked and went dark. "It's done," Han called. "Their coordination is broken." "Phase 2, Jia ordered. "To the hangar bay." As they ran from the room, Do-hyun grabbed Jia's arm. "You were right," he admitted. "Your way worked." Jia smiled briefly. "We're not safe yet. Keep moving." Behind them, they could hear the confused reactions of the Nexus throughout the station. Without central coordination, the aliens couldn't organize a proper response to the unexpected attack. For the first time since the crash, they had hope. The small transport ship limped toward Earth's orbit, its engines struggling. Inside, Jia and the surviving cadets had barely slept in 2 days. Their escape from Titan had been narrow. Approaching Earth Defense Station, Han announced from the pilot's seat. His hands moved over the controls with less precision than before, but he had adapted to flying without his neural enhancements. "They're hailing us," Sue said. Do-hyun pressed the communication button. "Vanguard squad returning from Titan, requesting emergency landing and medical assistance." The defense station responded immediately. "Vanguard squad, you are cleared for emergency docking bay 3. Medical teams standing by." As they docked, Jia looked at her teammates. Only 12 of the original 20 had survived. They were tired, injured, and forever changed by what they had experienced. "Remember," she said quietly, "they need to know about the Nexus anti-enhancement weapons." Everyone nodded. This information was vital for Earth's defense. When the docking bay doors opened, they were met by armed guards and medical teams. Major Park stood at the front, his face showing relief when he saw the survivors. "Get the wounded to medical," he ordered. Then to the cadets still standing. "Debriefing room." Now, in the debriefing room, high-ranking military officers waited. Jia recognized General Kang, the head of Earth's defense forces. His stern face showed no emotion as the cadets entered. "Report," he commanded. Do-hyun stepped forward. As the highest-ranking cadet, it was his duty to speak first. "Sir, we encountered the Nexus on Titan. They had already taken control of the research station." He described the crash, the capture, and their imprisonment. When he reached the part about the electromagnetic pulse that disabled their enhancements, General Kang leaned forward. "All enhancements were neutralized?" he asked sharply. "Yes, sir," Do-hyun confirmed. "Neural implants, genetic modifications, all of it. We were helpless." General Kang turned to his aides. "This changes everything. If the Nexus can neutralize our enhancements—" "With respect, sir," Do-hyun continued, "that's not the most important part of our report." The room went quiet. Do-hyun took a deep breath. "The most important part is that Cadet Kim Jia saved us all." All eyes turned to Jia, who stood quietly at the back of the room. "Cadet Kim has no enhancements," Do-hyun explained. "The Nexus couldn't detect her. When our advantages were taken away, she taught us how to fight without them. Her methods, traditional combat skills passed down in her family, proved effective against the Nexus." General Kang stared at Jia with new interest. "Is this true, Cadet Kim?" Before Jia could answer, Major Park stepped forward. "General, if I may explain, Cadet Kim was selected for the Vanguard program precisely because she lacked enhancements." "Explain," General Kang demanded. "Sir, I was part of a classified program that maintained a small force of unmodified combat specialists," Major Park said. "It was a contingency plan against enemies who might target our enhanced soldiers. Cadet Kim showed exceptional natural ability." General Kang considered this information a wise precaution, as it turns out. A heated discussion broke out among the officers. Some argued for immediately training more unmodified specialists. Others insisted on developing new enhancements that could resist the Nexus technology. As the debate continued, Do-hyun approached Jia. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "I judged you wrongly." "You weren't the only one," Jia replied. "I've requested to have some of my enhancements removed," Do-hyun admitted. "I want to learn more of your techniques, to fight with my own strength, not just borrowed power." Jia smiled, surprised. "It won't be easy." "I know," Do-hyun said, "but I've had a good teacher." From across the room, Major Park watched them with approval. The mission had been costly, but they had gained something valuable. A new understanding of human potential. 6 months had passed since the Titan mission. The training hall of the new Vanguard Academy was filled with the sounds of movement. 40 cadets practiced in pairs, some with enhancements, others completely unmodified. Jia walked among them, watching their form. She stopped beside a young woman struggling with a defensive stance. "Your weight is too far forward," Jia explained gently. She demonstrated the correct position. "Feel the ground beneath you. Your strength comes from balance, not just power." The cadet nodded and adjusted her stance. Across the room, Do-hyun led another group through a series of strikes. His movements were different now, less reliant on raw strength, more focused on precision. He had kept some of his enhancements but had others removed, finding a balance between technology and natural ability. "Commander Kim," a voice called from the doorway. Sue entered, now wearing the uniform of a medical officer. "The general is here." Jia nodded. "Continue the exercises," she told the class. "Do-hyun will supervise." She followed Sue to the conference room, where General Kang waited with Major Park and several other officers. A large holographic display showed the outer edges of the solar system. "Commander Kim," General Kang greeted her. "We've detected Nexus activity near Neptune, a larger force than on Titan." Jia studied the display. "How much time do we have?" "They'll reach the Neptune defense station in 36 hours, Major Park replied. General Kang turned to Jia. "Your Vanguard unit will deploy in 12 hours. This will be their first real combat mission." After the Titan incident, Earth's military had undergone significant changes. Jia's experience had led to the creation of a new type of Vanguard force, teams that combined enhanced and unmodified soldiers, using the strengths of both. "They're ready," Jia said confidently. "We've been training for this." "The Neptune station has installed the countermeasures you recommended," Major Park added. "If the Nexus use their anti-enhancement weapons, our people won't be completely helpless this time." General Kang nodded with approval. "6 months ago, we thought technology and enhancements were our greatest weapons. You proved that human adaptability is just as important." As Jia left the meeting, she found Do-hyun waiting in the corridor. "The cadets are finishing cool-down exercises," he reported. "How bad is it?" "Nexus near Neptune. We deploy in 12 hours." Do-hyun nodded, his face serious. "I'll prepare the team." They walked together to the observation deck. Through the large windows, Earth glowed blue and green against the darkness of space. "Sometimes I still can't believe how much has changed," Do-hyun said. "Commander Ta retired last month. He said the military had changed too much for him." Jia smiled slightly. He wasn't entirely wrong about enhancements being valuable. He just couldn't see that they're tools, not solutions. "You've always understood that," Do-hyun replied. "I wish I had listened to you sooner." An alert chimed on their communicators. The final preparation sequence for deployment had begun. "Time to get the team ready," Jia said. As they turned to leave, a cadet rushed up to them. "Commander Kim, the transport ships are being loaded. The general wants to know which strategy we'll be using against the Nexus." Jia looked at Do-hyun, then back to the cadet. "Tell him we'll be using the combined approach. Enhanced troops for direct engagement, unmodified specialists for infiltration and adaptation, just as we've trained." The cadet hurried away with the message. "Do you think it will work again?" Do-hyun asked quietly. "The Nexus will have adapted since Titan," Jia admitted. "But so have we." They reached the deployment bay where their team waited, a mix of enhanced and natural soldiers, all trained in Jia's methods. Once they had seen her as weak, as less than them. Now they looked to her with respect and confidence. "Ready for briefing," a young cadet announced as Jia approached. She nodded and stepped forward to address her team. The girl who had once been overlooked now stood as their commander and greatest hope against the alien threat. Humanity had learned an important lesson. True strength came not from technology alone, but from the adaptive spirit that had allowed humans to survive and thrive for thousands of years. And Jia Kim, once underestimated, now unstoppable, embodied that spirit perfectly.